Hey everybody, welcome, and thank you for listening to this episode of Marriage Therapy Radio. My name is Zach Brittle. I'm here with Laura Heck, finally. Laura's been traveling for a little while. I missed her, but she's back. And we spend a fair bit of time in this episode catching up, just trying to see how we are each doing, while we stumble onto a topic that I think is interesting, really about how to take time to slow down long enough to do the work that's important. Sometimes that's in our mental health, sometimes that's in our bodies, sometimes that's in our relationships. Regardless, it was fun to catch up, hear a little bit about Laura's trip. I want to emphasize again and thank you all for leaning into our new Patreon project. We're trying to figure out how to continue to bring you quality content without trying to, play the game. So I really appreciate those of you who are getting on board. We had a big meeting this week talking about rolling out some projects this summer, including our spinoff series called So I Married a Relationship Expert. We have a ton of cool interviews that we lined up that I think are going to be really fun. I'm also getting ready to roll out my book club, which will probably start, I'm going to say mid-July. So if you are interested in getting behind the scenes content from us, if you're interested in some of these bonus episodes or being a part of the book club, please go to marriagetherapyradio.com. Check out our Patreon page. We have a bunch of tiers that you can opt into to get different kinds of bonus and behind the scenes content from us. And there's an option too, if you just want to support the podcast and help people continue to gain access to Marriage Therapy Radio and to Zach and Laura and to the wit and wisdom that we bring in an attempt to make the world a better place, then please do that. We appreciate you. For now, this is a very cool conversation. Stick around. Hi, I missed you. I was going to say this on the podcast so everybody could know that you've been gone for 2.5 weeks, and I got kind of sad.
When you text me that, there was something in your text. I don't know what it was. By the way, were you annoyed that I was texting you while I was on vacation?
I was annoyed for you and for Ryan
me.
that you were asking me work questions from Europe.
Was I?
I was like,
I
you
thought
were
I
like,
was
did
trying
you do
to
this?
be...
Did you do that? And I was like, I hope you're having a great trip.
I felt your annoyance. Yeah.
Have you done da-da-da-da? And I was like, how's Europe?
Right? Stop talking to me. The problem is that I was jet lagged for the first 3 days, and I would be alone, right? With like bodies next to me, but I had to be quiet and be still in my bed with like a husband and a child. And it was 3:00 in the morning, and all I could do is just text my people. And you are on the list of my people.
Yeah.
So that's what you were getting. And then we got on the boat, and luckily we didn't have any service at all. So there just was no way to communicate. So I probably did a good job, according to you, of not talking to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think you got to be where you're at.
So why'd you miss me?
What's that?
That's kind of interesting. Like you did send a text where it was like a little more genuinely like and by the way, I miss you. Like I wanted to talk to you, or I'm missing talking to you. And I was like, that's unusually heartfelt and honest.
Yeah. I was probably, I don't know, Rebecca probably made me mad. I don't think I told you this one.
Oh. Well, we haven't talked for 2.5 weeks, so probably not.
So, by the way, you did forget my birthday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Father's Day. Completely forgot Father's Day.
Did you forget it for Ryan too?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, one, I couldn't reach out to the fathers in my life because I was on the boat with zero service, but also I did forget Father's Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Okay, so how was your birthday?
It was pretty fun.
52?
I'm
how old
51.
Are you? 51.
Yeah,
okay.
51. It was pretty good. It was pretty quiet. We laid low here, had some people over. I've been really struggling lately with kind of like I don't feel like I have my brain. So I've been I've just been like on like Instagram Reels or something, or just like watching TikTok and reading news and sound bites and kind of vegging out and so we invited a bunch of people over, and the thing I asked for my birthday was bring me a book.
Nice.
And so I got a bunch of books. Like nobody bought me a book. They just brought me a book, like literally off their
shelf
in their house. So now I have a stack of books that I can read to kind of get my brain back. I'm excited about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you want, by the way, I want everyone to know, I think that's what I was texting you about, is I read the Midnight Library, which was the book that you said, you have to read this. I have told you about it. So I read it. I had some realizations. I recommended it to my mom. It feels like The Alchemist. Did I tell that to you already? So like The Alchemist is like a modern day parable, and not even really a modern day parable, but it's like a parable where you learn, it's a journey that you go on with an individual, and it's like a life lesson that's meant to be taught. One, I thought the Midnight Library could have been half the size. Like, I think that it sort of went on a little too long, but you kind of grasp the idea of it. And then I also told you I have some life changes that I want to make based off of this book that kind of gave me some food for thought.
So what you're saying is the book I recommended changed your life?
Sure.
Yeah.
It's probably going to change your life too.
Yeah.
Based off of how it's going to change my life. But yes, that was a good one. I enjoyed that. However, I did read The Grace Year and it blew my mind. It was so good. Do you remember The Handmaid's Tale?
I do know The Handmaid's Tale, yes.
Yeah. And is it Maids? Handmaids?
Yeah.
Yes. Kind of similar in the structure, patriarchal dystopian, but it was so good, such a page turner. And I'm such a physical book reader that maybe for my birthday, what I will also ask for is a copy of a favorite book that someone's read.
Yeah, it's a good idea. I mean, if you don't need anything in your life and you just want
I need nothing.
Yeah, then just have people bring you a book.
Oh,
and then they don't have to buy it.
Love that. Yeah.
You could just be like, here, I like this book. I literally have, I don't think I got one new book. I got and I got some books that I'm pretty sure people stopped on the way over to my house at one of those lending libraries that are on the side of the street and just
That's not worth it.
Well,
it should be something that, if somebody said, bring me your most favorite treasured book of all time, what would you bring someone?
What would I bring somebody?
Yeah. Where you actually had to physically go out because you probably want to keep the copy yourself. But what's the most?
Yeah, I'm not giving them my copy.
Yeah.
Probably give them The Brothers K by David James Duncan. It's probably the one I would buy. Although it's like when you buy a big fat novel for people, you're sort of obligating them to something. So that's the book I think I would take on a desert island. But if I was just, I'd have to think about like what book would I actually just sort of give somebody that I think they should read. Anyway, it's a good one.
Yeah. My answer is The Power of One, by the way. It's
Oh,
also a movie.
that's a great book.
It is a great book. Yeah. Similar in like The Alchemist as well, where it's a journey that you go on with lots of realizations as someone's life unfolds. But
Did you watch that movie?
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
I think I watched the movie before I read the book as a child.
They're very different, but the movie's great too. I just recommended The Power of One to somebody, my friend David, I think.
What were you going to ask?
Oh, I have a question about your trip. I've been thinking about this actually a lot. I want to know, this is my question. So because I'm an introvert and because I've been doing all these things like Father's Day and my birthday and some other stuff, a bunch of graduation parties, I had to stock up on my questions that I ask people when I'm feeling uncomfortable. So one of them is I'll be just standing with people and I'll be like, does anybody know how carrier pigeons work? It's amazing. It's amazing how long you can talk about this. If you want to, you can just keep it going.
Yeah.
It turns out carrier pigeons are basically just pneumatic tubes that go one place. So that's how they work. But that's not how they work on TV and movies, right?
Right.
In TV and movies, they're like, hey, I need you to take this to Sam, who's over there in the forest. You can't do that. Like Sam is not going to get this bird. The bird's gonna
or
go.
like the mythical creature, like Hogwarts,
totally.
The owl.
Doesn't work.
What's his name?
Hogwarts.
Yeah, but like the
Hagrid.
No, Hagrid's the guy. What's the owl's name?
I don't know.
Oh man, my son would know.
I could put that in the category of things I don't know, and I'm okay about it. Hedwig.
Hedwig. Started with an H. That's right. Okay.
Okay. On your trip, what was the best or most notable or most interesting or maybe even the most tragic experience of someone asking you for money? So, like performance on the street, or maybe there was like an old lady who turned into like a wizard when you gave her $1 or something.
Totally.
But what's been the most interesting experience of seeing someone who was trying to make a living by getting money from tourists?
Yeah, we have actually had some pretty serious conversations about this. One was in Mexico, not necessarily.
I want to know about this trip. Tell me about this
trip. Well, I'm going to link.
Tell me about anything you want, but this is the question I'm asking.
I'm going to link the two. When we were in Mexico, we pulled up and there were performers on the street. So you stop at a stoplight, they come out, and it's like a guy that's balancing something, but he's performing, he's entertaining. And then there's an element of, now may I have $1? And when we got to London, our cab driver stopped and the person in front of him there was a gentleman walking around offering to wash windows. And they said, that's fine. There's some kind of like interaction. Everyone knows, like, I want to wash your window, and in exchange, I would like some money. And it brought up the conversation again 1 year later, where we were talking about how it feels good to me to have people that are on the side of the street asking for money, but also in exchange for some kind of a service, whether it be entertaining you, whether it be cleaning your window, whatever it might be. And so we actually had a conversation as a family. We were like, how much money do you think he gets? Because maybe let's just say it's $1 for every time the light changes. How much money do you think he would be able to make if he stood out there and he washed windows for 8 hours? I'm just guessing. How much money do you think he might make?
For 8 hours, and he gets $1 every time the light changes. I don't know. I'd guess maybe a couple $100, $200-300.
That's a great day.
Yeah.
That's a good day's work. So that's my story. That was the only time anybody, a window washer, had anybody in my frame of reference. There were not a lot of people that were on the side of the street where we were at.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people asking for money.
The reason I started thinking about this is because of pigeons. And I'm all obsessed with like carrier pigeons and like how do they work. But when we were in New York a couple weeks ago, there was this guy who looked like a homeless guy. But he was like in charge of like 100 pigeons. Okay. So he would be like, go over there. And they would go over there. And then, you know, I would put like a quarter in his bucket and he would be like, come back and do flips. And they would come back and they would do flips or something. And like he was just like, they just obeyed him. These pigeons. And I was like, this is amazing. This guy's just making money by commanding pigeons around town. And I was really fascinated by this because I was like, did he like stumble onto this talent? Is he really secretly like a ornithology professor who kind of dresses up in his homeless person outfit to go out and like entertain people for the day? Or, you know,
such a cringy thing you just said, but go on.
How did he learn how to do this? Because I found it absolutely, I watched him for like 45 minutes, not 45 minutes. I watched him for a while. Yeah. And just was like, this guy is, and then I was wondering about like, if you're a pigeon and you want to be in the club, like how do you get in the this guy is my boss club? They
jump you in. They're like, this is our main guy and we're going to need to beat you up in order for you to be a part of our
Well, also like, what if they don't want you in? Like, is there ways that like, can you be in or out of this guy's like pigeon club? Anyway. But then I thought about like you were roaming around Europe all weekend, and I was like, you must have seen people doing amazing things. Like, no.
It was an interesting. Yeah,
sounds like
it's okay. It was a really interesting
no international
trip.
Entertainers doing cool things with.
We people. It's really hard because people want you to come back from your trip and say, it was amazing. That was so fantastic. And they want really cool stories. Yeah. And I just don't have it in me to fake it. Okay. When people ask me, how was your travels? I tell them I learned a lot about how I like to travel based on having experiences that were not as favorable. And so what I learned about my form of travel is, number one, this is feedback from Holden, is that we tried to do too much. So we landed in London, did a couple days in London. Then we flew to Rome, did a couple days in Rome. Then we drove to Civitavecchia, it was just like a lot of get here to get there to get there. And we added up the amount of time that we actually spent traveling from one place to another, which for a lot of people, like the journey is the experience, not necessarily like getting to the experience. But that wasn't the case for us. Like we didn't necessarily enjoy going to the airport, waiting 2 hours or 3 hours, getting on an airplane. Do you remember the time in Frankfurt when the airport was like took forever? It was like lines.
They were like, you might want to get there 3 hours in advance, and it took us 3 hours to walk in the door and then get on our plane, and then they were like, okay, bye.
Yeah. But that was one lesson that we learned, was just do one thing and do it immersively, really deeply, rather than trying to fit so much in. Okay. So that's one lesson. The other is I don't necessarily enjoy like dry climate. So I thought Greece was going to be amazing. You've never been to Greece?
No.
All of the pictures, what do you imagine of Greece when you think about the images that you've seen?
Like, you know, ocean spray coming up on the cliff and like making you feel like refreshed and amazing. And then maybe you go into see like the Colosseum or something and you're like, I can't wait to get back to the ocean spray.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like I think of like Santorini, white buildings and blue water, like marine blue and yes. So I get to Greece, I'm like, man, there's no trees. It's very dry. It's beige everywhere. And it is really cool that they've built this entire city on the top. But I am a green person. Like I should probably be in Switzerland, or I should be somewhere where it's very lush and green. So I learned that about myself, which is very cool. But yeah, and less touristy spots. We went to a ton of places where it was just a bunch. Like I want to indulge in the culture of the place that I'm in, and instead I'm just rubbing elbows with a bunch of other tourists. That's not my jam. So I learned a lot about what I don't enjoy, which is good because I'm it just, you know.
How did your onesie situation turn out?
Fantastic.
Okay, good.
It turned out awesome. I'm really pumped on the onesie. I do have a story for you that I'm going to share offline, maybe for our
relative to the photograph that you sent me that I was not happy about. I was like, so what is this?
Yes, I did tell you, I think even on the episode, that I would take a picture of what it looks like when women are in a onesie and they have to go to the bathroom.
Yep.
You have to peel it off from the top to the bottom, and then you're sitting naked on the toilet. So what I sent you...
This was my anti-onesie strategy for you on the trip.
So for the record, I sent you a picture of my collarbones that clearly did not have anything on it and up. So there was, just so people know, I'm not taking nudes of myself and sending them to Zach.
Yeah, right on.
Just collarbone, which for some people is like their jam. Here's what I did do that I was really pumped on. I made an entire photo album of Holden sleeping. So I will send that to you. It has 15 photographs of Holden sleeping during the day in inappropriate places, like at the airport.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I'm really excited about that photo album. It's titled Holden Sleeps Through Europe.
Do you have that gene that you can sleep like kind of anywhere?
No, I don't. Not even a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every flight that I've ever been on, I just sit there and stare at the people around me and put on a face mask. And I don't cut my fingernails. I've seen that picture, that video on Instagram. Okay, so we did do some cool stuff. I ate amazing Indian food in London. We did the whole Harry Potter experience in London. Rome, we did a lot of the ancient goods, and we ate so much gelato. Best gelato was in Mykonos. But now I'm back and ready to jump in.
Okay.
Should we talk about relationships now that we're 15 minutes deep?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, if you want, you can ask me.
This is your first time on the podcast. My name's Laura Heck, and I'm a couples therapist. Zach is also a couples therapist. We're not married to each other, though we are married. And we like to hop on here and talk about ourselves for entirely too long until we start to add some value to your life by talking about relationships. And that's my shtick.
Yeah, right on. We can talk about relationships. I've been working a lot. I did 2 talks this last week that I had to like prep for. Which
is unusual because whenever we do talks together, you stress me out because you're like, should I just show up and jot
here's
a couple
the thing
notes?
That was interesting about that. Like, I think in both cases, I came home and my family was like, how'd you do? And I was like, B plus, which I never feel when like you and I are teaching together, because I feel like we've got it down so pat and I'm very comfortable and I can kind of move around and stuff. Yeah. So prepping something new was actually kind of hard, and I felt like I had to stretch, which was nice. And I don't know. I don't think either one was like all that great, which was also kind of nice. Like now I'm kind of thinking about like, how do I get better at this? And I'm doing another one in September. I'm going to Boise and doing this like 2-hour thing.
Oh,
yeah. And so I have a couple months to like kind of dial it in and see if I have something worth saying. But one of the topics.
Well, I really just wanted to go off on a whole tangent of stretching yourself.
Oh,
I don't want to derail you. I want you to continue on your.
I will tell you this: I've been stretching myself in this way too. Like if there's like a theme of. Sorry, this is gonna be a tangent. Sorry, people.
Great.
We're about to take another one. My birthday and like Father's Day, like the theme was kind of water. So I've been swimming a lot. I've been swimming our pool open, and I've been back and kind of exercising. That's been my new thing. trying to like get back into my sort of swimming shape and increase my yardage and stuff. But the other thing I did is I got a gift certificate to the float tank, like the sensory deprivation float tank thing.
I've never done that.
Yeah, it's pretty
Have you tried it yet?
Yeah. I've been now 3 times because I got like a 5-pack or something.
Okay.
It's hard talking about stretching yourself. Like, it's an hour that you're in this.
No way.
Yeah, and you lay there and it's pitch dark and completely silent, and you're just in the water and you're floating. It's about 10 inches of water, and you cannot not float. I mean, unless you sit up, but like you're definitely floating. So you're just sort of in suspended sensory animation for like an hour. And each time I have been able to go a little bit longer without getting antsy. Like first time I was like half an hour in and I was like, I gotta get out of here. Not claustrophobic, but just like, I got shit to do. I gotta check my Instagram reels or something. Like it really does. I mean, it takes a while to kind of deprogram your brain from all the inputs, you know? But then it was like 40 minutes and then it was 45 minutes. So that's been kind of cool.
What is the purpose? I mean, you are gaining something from it.
Kind of depends. Like they talk about it has stress relief benefits or like helps treat depression. There definitely are some like benefits for people who have like chronic back pain or chronic, say, neck pain. This taking all of the kind of the weight or pressure off of your kind of your primary joint spaces, you know?
Yeah.
But it's just like anything else. It's kind of, what is the gain? I don't know if I've actually found my gain yet. I don't actually know what it is for me. Although, again, kind of going back to this idea of stretching and figuring out like how do you go into uncomfortable or uncharted territory.
Yeah.
That's been the effort for me, I think, in this place.
Sure.
And my wife bought me one of these cold plunge pods.
Whoa.
Right. So I'm swimming like 4 times a week, about a mile and a half at each time.
That's so impressive.
Floating in Float Town.
Yep.
And soon I will be cold plunging in my backyard.
You're going to be in the best shape of your life.
I know. I'm getting ready for your 40th birthday party, which you're definitely inviting me to, but I'm definitely not coming to. But I just want to be included. So.
Oh, man. Okay, so this is kind of funny. Sorry, guys. We just didn't really
We haven't seen each other for 2.5 weeks. Next week, we'll get back to the good stuff, although I will give you something today.
Maybe you can just say at the beginning, at the top, like, we're not going to talk about anything related to marriages, but if you like the banter, this is a whole episode of banter.
Totally.
My buddy, Tom, who you have not met yet, best friend, he agreed to do the half Ironman with me. Okay. And so he has been training and he had to learn how to swim. He's an incredible cyclist. He pushes so many watts. And we have done our first half marathons together and we've run. So he's been training, swimming, and then he did his first sprint triathlon to give it a shot. Okay. And I got a text message that basically said, we're going to go ahead and postpone the half Ironman until 2025. So the swim did not go well. And it's really interesting. I mean, you're a swimmer. I am not. But for someone who is an endurance athlete, he goes hard. He pushes himself super hard. You have to almost do the opposite when you're learning to swim, is you have to calm yourself. And that's a process now that he's having to learn, is that he figured out, one, how do I not die in a pool? Now he's trying to figure out, how do I not hyperventilate and go too fast, too hard out in open water? He's going to have to take a whole nother year to figure that piece out. I don't know how I finished mine last year, but somehow I managed to stay alive and get through the swim with relative good time. But that's an interesting piece of learning to slow down. That is, I'm just going to, piggyback on your deprivation tank there, of learning how to stop yourself from doing kind of the natural instinct, which is to go, 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 go. And he's having to figure out, like, how do I not go so hard and figure out my breathing? 4 times a week. That's really impressive, Zach.
Yeah, 4 times a week. I said I'd swim a mile and a half. I'm working up to a mile and a half. So I can do a mile, which is 1,800 yards in like 40 minutes. If I can do that, that's a good workout for me. So then,
that's about what I'm doing when I'm in the pool too.
I've been adding yardage, so now I'm up to like 22 to 24 is my kind of what I'm doing now.
And why are you going by yards? Because most pools are meters. Different.
I think so.
Okay, we'll circle back on that one.
Okay. So yeah, it's been good. It's been good to get back and I can feel my body kind of remembering how to swim. And I mean, it's true. It's all about efficiency. It's all about kind of going slow to go fast. And, I don't know. I'm sort of thinking about right now whether or not this is the topic for the day, which is how do you stretch yourself, or how do you go slow to go fast in a relationship? It was a little bit of the thing I did on Saturday. The two things I did last week were different. They were very different. I had to prep two totally different kind of assignments.
Right.
And so I spent a lot of time in kind of different parts of my brain. But I think, one of the things I said was, you have to figure out how to sort of suspend your judgment or suspend your expectation of what's supposed to happen here in order to create more sort of options. And I guess I beat this drum quite a bit, like where it's, I really do think that couples who are in empowered relationships are creating options for themselves. Okay. And I don't think we can create options for ourselves if we're just caught up in the stuff all the time. Like if I'm caught up in the easy one that people get caught up in is who's driving to soccer practice, and did you pay the bills, and did you contact the plumber, and what's going on with how's work, kind of things. That's sort of the stuff we get caught up in, and it's sort of just the regular old boring. But we need to get caught up in things that are more expansive and surprising and creative, if only to break the rut, right? We talk about people getting sort of stuck in the feedback loops.
Yep.
And I don't know what maybe therapy is the relational version of going into a float tank, and pausing long enough to say, hey, what's actually really happening in this space? What's happening right here? That is worth, pondering.
Well, we've talked about this before. Like, yes, therapy is that thing, but for me, it's okay. It's an hour. It's an hour of your time, maybe once a week, maybe every other week. And sometimes you don't get to the good stuff until you're 45 minutes into the session and you're finally like, okay, I'm settled in. And now I'm ready to stop with the minutia and start getting into something that really matters to us. That's where I've had couples that have said, we need the 90-minute sessions. We don't really get into the good stuff until 45. And which is not about the therapist. It's not about them. It just takes a while to be able to get to the point where you can push aside the busyness. But what we've talked about before is how travel is the thing that gets you out of the rut. It takes you out of the everyday pattern that you're in as a family, as a couple, in work, with the dogs, food, all of that. And it plops you down into an entirely different system, and it forces you out of whatever that rut is. And you have to kind of rethink, like, how are we going to do this? That's where I always get the biggest bang for my buck, is having a travel experience that changes me as a person, and that changes the relationship.
Yeah, totally. And I think that is, that's why I'm excited to hear about your trip. And also, I think it's actually the premise of Midnight Library, right? The premise of Midnight Library is you have this notion that this is what your life is. And she has this experience of looking at different options that were available to her. Yeah. I think, we can talk a little bit about Midnight Library, but she has these regrets, this book of regrets, where it's basically, regrets and anxiety to me are very similar in the sense that anxiety is future thinking of, I'm concerned or worried about how something may turn out, but you don't know. It's a crystal ball. You have no idea what's going to happen. But we worry about something in the future that we don't have any control over. A regret is that as well. A regret is, I made a decision at some point in my life, and I regret making that decision because I've already told myself what the future holds, of what the end result would be of that. So she has this book of regrets, and it might be, I regret breaking up with my fiance. But she has no idea what that life with her fiance may have been like. And then in Midnight Library, she has the opportunity to go back in time and make that decision differently and live out the way in which life would have, like the course of the life, how it would have turned out had she made that decision differently. And what she ends up learning is that her book of regrets gets smaller and smaller because they're not actually regrets. She had made up a story as to how her life could have possibly turned out and would have been better, which made it a regret. But what she realized is that making that decision differently did not result in a better result. It was a different one, but it wasn't better. So
I don't know. I just wanted to tell the premise of the book so people, in case they were curious about Midnight Library, this
but
is
you were
really
talking
good.
about how getting outside of your sort of standard thinking actually creates opportunities for like figuring out what's available to me here. And I think, again, let's, you guys out there in radio land, if we had started understanding that we were going to talk about this, it would be much more dialed in. But this is, I think, what I have spent a lot of time thinking about. And it's float tank, it's Midnight Library, it's travel, it's therapy, is, will you pause long enough to suspend the idea that you know how it's going to turn out, or that the decision that you made has these definite consequences, or that your marriage is going to be exactly what it is? Or do you get to sort of evaluate that, okay, it could be that, it could be that. I have a choice to regret. I have a choice to be anxious, or I have a choice to be right here. That's the hardest thing about the float tank is I'm just, okay, I've got 20 more minutes. I'm not going to wait 20 minutes. I'm just going to be right here. I'm going to be right here. And then you start to figure out like, okay, what am I going to do with this thing that's happening to me right here?
I have a lot of thoughts. Part of me is wondering, why is it that people cannot, in their daily lives, without a float tank, without traveling, removing themselves from the system, why is it that they get stuck in, all I can do is just keep spinning my wheels? I have a couple that comes to my practice and they tell me about all the stuff that's going on in their life that prevents them from having or choosing to actually be in the life that they want to live. They know it's possible. They recognize that it's an option, but they're just so stuck because they're just spinning their wheels in trying to just whack-a-mole, just trying to knock everything down. There really isn't any time or opportunity for them to be able to say, I'm just going to be present, or I'm just going to choose not to do this thing that I've decided is so important. So my question is more of like, well, how do you just be, or how do you get unstuck, or how do you choose without the luxury of being able to travel, without the luxury of going to therapy? Luxury. Sometimes I feel like I'm the principal's office, but it's a luxury.
Coming up on Marriage Therapy Radio.
Yes.
And stay with us through the summer as we discuss how to remain present in your relation. I don't know, something. But, well, I'm glad you're back. And I'm glad that we get to kind of do this again. It was just kind of like, there was this thing that just like vanished from my life for 3 weeks. And it just, I don't know, made me sad.
Felt weird.
So,
well, we have been doing this for 7 years now, where we catch up once a week.
Yeah.
So, yeah, one of the longest relationships with another man that I've ever had. Oh, joy.
Right on.
All right, well, let's just land this plane then. And thank you to everyone who's still listening, all 2 of you who listened to the episode to the end.
We have engaged listeners. Like our Patreon, you guys are responding, and it's so encouraging. I got to tell you, like, we're sitting here trying to figure out, like, how do we do this? How do we maintain this energy? And you are speaking our language, which is, we got your back, and I love it, and I want to thank you for that. And we're going to lean more into more of that in the next couple of weeks. But I just want to say, it's really cool to see people stepping up.
You know what's also really cool is the feedback that we're getting on our book so far. For people who are having a chance to read like the pre-copy and give us some feedback. So far, so good. Y'all are liking it, which I really appreciate. Phew.
Okay.
All right, landing. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Marriage Therapy Radio. Hey, Zach mentioned our Patreon page. You can find that by going to marriagetherapyradio.com. We have a tab that says Patreon. There you can access all of our exclusive content. And it's also the way that we just keep the lights on. So if you want to become a supporter of Marriage Therapy Radio, that is how you can become a part of our inner club. You can join our pigeon tribe, and we will not kick you out. Thanks for all of your time and attention, making your relationship better today than it was yesterday.